The top 3 things you need to know before writing a sales message. You have to understand that there are a few things, as I just told you guys, that you need to know in order to have a perfect sales message. A hook is part of one of them. And I'm going to start with number 1, which is have a great hook. You should always be testing hooks, making sure you figure out what's the best way to get your customers to pay attention to you. Use curiosity. Show them how they can get their desired results without any pain. Make it sexy. Make sure that they're like, oh, what's that? Bring some curiosity. Don't spoil what they're going to learn. Don't spoil what they're going to do. Make sure that they do and they take the next action by using curiosity. And that's one big mistake I see oftentimes. Let's say you are we often see that in an email marketing setting. Let's say you are in an email and you want to pitch, okay, I want them to go to a specific page and then on that specific page, buy that product. And people often do the mistake of pitching the products in the email. And that's the wrong thing to do. You shouldn't do that. What you should pitch in the email is pitching the click to check out the page. So there, what you're going to do is a whole different approach because people have to understand they have to click. And that's what I just saw like a few days ago. I just purchased a new program and I reverse engineer, as I just told you guys, you got to reverse engineer what is working on you. And I was looking at the email and I was like, hey, what did this work for me? And I looked at the email and I had no idea of what it was. Like it was like, hey, we're going to give you a free gift of $8,000. This is a huge thing. This is great. But I didn't have like any indications of what it was. Plus it was talking about the desired result that I wanted. I was like, oh, curiosity. I didn't know what it was, but they sold me on getting the click. They got my click on the email and then I went to the page. Now that you're on the page, your goal is to sell the next step. Your goal is to sell buying the products. But the thing is, it's a step-by-step process. Whenever you got to take context and understanding of, okay, what page, what platform I'm on, and what is the thing I need to sell them. In an email, in a Facebook ads, it's not the product that you need to sell. You need to sell the click. You need to create curiosity to the click to actually check out the page. And when they go into that page, the next step is for them to buy the product. And you got to understand that it's a step-by-step process. And you need to have appropriate hooks in order to have this. Now, this is not the only thing, because when you're on the page, you got to make sure that you create a persuasive story to make sure you sell them the thing. And that's extremely important because let's say you put them on the page, you have a great hook, you got their curiosity, but whenever they are on the page, not convinced to buy, they will not buy. That's extremely important. You got to understand that there are keys for them to buy. And I'm going to share the third key in a few moments, but one of them is actually having a great story. If you do not have a story that's persuading them, because one of the problems that we got, and one of the great it's something that's great and that's not great at the same time with online marketing, is that it's one-to-many selling, not one-on-one selling. And the problem with that is that in one-on-one selling, it's pretty much simple to get to understand the objections of the people. You're like, hey, what's your objection? This is this. You handle it. You check out if there are not other objections, and you're pretty much good to go. On internet, it's pretty complicated because, like me right now, I'm talking to a camera, I'm talking to a piece of glass, and this is not going to help me out to understand what are your objections. What are the objections that the people that are on the page that I'm selling my product on have? That's pretty difficult. So there's a different approach that you need to have. And that approach is the following. You got to take into account all the objections that your customer can possibly have. And I created a step-by-step process in the previous episode. I think it was 3, maybe 4, 5 episodes ago. And in that step-by-step process, I specifically talked about the 3 things that you need to handle in order to create a persuasive sales message. Listen to this. Let's imagine that the big thing you want them to take is that you want them to take action on buying your ebook, for example, your recipe book. Just bought a recipe book as well. And let's say you want them to buy your recipe book. So what are the objections that the people that will buy your recipe book you need to get rid of in order for them to buy a product? Because that's the only thing that's preventing them to buy a product. If they knew what you knew about your recipe book, that's incredible, they would buy it. The thing is, they have false beliefs that are preventing them to take the next step. So what you should do, you should address those false beliefs and replace them with new beliefs. That's how you make sure you handle objections without actually talking to people one-on-one and having an exchange. And there are 3 types of false beliefs. There are the vehicles, so false beliefs about the products, they don't, for example, in that case, they don't believe in your cookbook, don't believe it's the best thing. Second are internal false beliefs. So the beliefs in themselves of being able to apply the cookbook. In an example, maybe they are not like great cook and they don't think they're going to be able to apply what's in the book. Third thing that you need to handle are external beliefs. External beliefs will be external things that are preventing them to get success. So for example, in the example of the cookbook, that may be something like, hey, like my husband really like to like use Uber Eats and I don't get to cook that often. And I think it's going to prevent me to actually create great recipes and actually use the book. So you see how it's preventing them to actually take action? Because when you are able to handle those three objections now, like, and they understand, okay, I can actually do that. And you handle that through storytelling. And I talked about that a few episodes ago. So if you want to know more, I'm not going to go too deep on that. Check it out. But the thing is, you got to handle those three self-beliefs, false beliefs that they got. You got to identify them first, being like, okay, I know what your false self-belief is, and I'm going to show you another way to do things to convince you that, hey, you can do it actually. And you got to do that in your sales pitch. That's the way you sell on with stories actually. And then the last piece of the puzzle that you need to have, and I'm going to share with you my screen so you can see it, is that you got to build an irresistible offer. You got to make an offer so huge, so incredible, man, it seems like you're stealing from them. Like for real, if they do not feel like they're stealing from you, if they don't feel bad, if they don't feel bad about actually buying your product because they feel like this is like too much, it's like, man, this is not fair, I'm taking too much from them. You know, one of the great rules that we use in marketing is create an offer that values 10 times the value that you're actually selling the product on. So, and I remember like a few offers that really, like one of the ones that really struck me and I was like, wow, that's a great offer, was the one that I heard in one of the Grant Cardone's training call. And I remember he did an offer like was real estate related. But the thing was, you invested like $9.97 and he invested for you $9.97 in one of his properties. Plus you get like a whole course that's valued like plus like 15K and other things. But I remember specifically that like, and plus a credit to restore, like something really like stupid. You're like, man, like if I'm not taking advantage of that, that's pretty much stupid. Because only the fact of you, especially the fact of investing in the real estate, only the fact of you being able to invest in the real estate that he was investing, which has like tremendous returns by itself, was like huge. Plus you had the rest of the offer that's incredible. You're like, oh man, like I'm ripping off that guy, you know what I mean? And if you're able to build an offer that's that good, you're able to create stories that show them that they can do it, and you hook them from the beginning, making sure they read the rest, they read and it goes back again, they read the copy, they listen to the stories, they actually get their beliefs changed, and they see your offer. If you do that, you are going to have some ton of sales, I'm telling you. But there is a bonus tip. There is something that you need to know as well in order to make sure that you do the best with that strategy. You need to make sure that you have a surplus of hooks for A/B testing and promotions. And that's one of the things that you need to always have. As I told you guys, you need to be testing always. And in order to make that efficiently, you got to make sure that you're always searching for new ways to promote your product, new angles to attack, new things that you can talk about. And that's extremely important, because if you're not able to do that, well, you're not going to get the results that you're wanting to get with your campaigns, whether they're promotions, sales page, and all that. You got to always be testing and finding new hooks, new ways to get your customers on.